Hey everybody, Red X Rain here, back with kind of a new Let's Play. Now now that I've finished up the Super NES version of Disney's Aladdin, it's time to take on the Genesis version to sort of wrap up, or at least begin wrapping up this first Console Wars special feature. So real quick, just a couple of options here to work with in the options menu. Got different difficulty settings. I'm gonna leave it at normal because this game's actually pretty tricky for what it is, so I'll leave it at normal. Normal's difficult enough. Yeah, I'm gonna move these around. Oh man, I'm trying to remember, because I played around with settings a little bit before, and I think that was the one that just felt most comfortable to me, so hopefully I'm right. Alright, so this is kind of nice. They, tell you what all these little pickups, or, what all these different things that you can pick up in levels do. There's a very strange one, the picture of Princess Jasmine that I'll get into a little bit later. It's kind of a issue with this game that I have. But, we get this text-based opening, which right away is something pretty different from the Super NES version. Super NES version had a lot of even if some of them were like little moving sprites, but even when they were just pictures, I don't know, kind of like that a little bit more than just these plain sort of text descriptions about what happened. Okay, so lots to cover here. So, controls are basic platforming type of stuff: walk left, walk right, look up, look down, duck, all that kind of stuff. Of course, Aladdin can jump. That's why it's a platformer. He can still throw apples, the way that he did in the Super NES version, but one huge noticeable difference right off the bat here is this sword, which is one thing that a lot of people really like about this game, and one of the arguments about why this version, the Sega version, is better than the Super NES version. Aesthetically, yeah, I agree. It's pretty cool. I really don't. I don't know. I really don't care for I don't want to say the controls of the sword. I mean, it's not like you can do a whole lot with it. It's not complicated, but the reach is not very good, and it does. I mean, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. If anything, it might be a kind of a strength to it. It takes a little getting used to, because if you just keep pressing. If you keep pressing the attack button, I changed it, so defaults are gonna be different. A button, I guess. If you just keep mashing on it, you're not gonna hit anything. You need to actually pace your swipes. Yeah, nice try, guy. So generally, and maybe this is just my lack of experience with this game, I tend to throw apples way more than use the sword. Sometimes it's more convenient to use the sword, sometimes you have to, but generally I would rather just use the apples. The apples are usually it takes usually 2 apples to kill an enemy, but you can stand back further, you can sort of plan your shots. It's just a lot easier and sort of more accurate, to me anyway. It's also, I guess, noticeable, or it's something to note, that unlike the Super NES version, which also had apples that you could throw, apples in that version just stunned enemies. You had to jump on their heads to kill them, to attack them. Here, the apples actually, destroy enemies, so that's different. See, this is what I'm talking about. I can sort of, I don't have to drop down or worry about getting too close. I can just sort of stand back here and take them out. And they give you lots of apples along the way, so especially early on. Later on, we'll see. Of course, that becomes much more difficult, and you have to kind of conserve. But at least for now, we're okay. This sort of gets back to one of the things that I was talking about with sort of I guess the overall sort of general Nintendo approach to things about that, you know, Nintendo being sort of a family company, kind of arguably playing it safe, appealing to families as opposed to a more mature gamer. Not that this game is like super mature and bloody and gory or anything like that, but I think there's definitely something to be said for Aladdin, you know, actually carrying a sword around and, you know, in a more mature fashion, attacking enemies rather than just like that kind of cartoonish, oh, let me jump on their heads and then they bounce off screen. Real quick here, so I've been picking up gems, and this guy, the peddler, is usually he's hidden in different levels, but he always has this stand where you can either buy an extra life for 5 gems or a wish for 10. Wishes are just continues. So for now I just bought 1 extra life, because I didn't really have enough money for a continue. And like in, is that the end of this level? Yeah, alright. So, along the way you may have also noticed I picked up some, they're like Genie's face. So you can see I have 5 of them on the right side. So it does this little, ooh, nice. This little sort of roulette thing. Awesome. However many Genie faces, man, I am on a roll. However many Genie faces you collect, you get that many spins. Didn't happen that time, but if you get Jafar, then the round is over immediately. There's also a couple of these Abu bonus levels. I think there's only 2. It doesn't always happen. You have to pick up the Abu sort of face icon. And it's a level where you can't lose a life. You can gain a life by surviving it. Sometimes easier said than done. Oh well. I picked up a couple of gems along the way. That's alright. That's sort of the big benefit. Well, no, I guess extra lives are better than gems, but gems are good too, because you can buy extra lives with them. Yeah, so, let's see, do we actually get a picture here? Yeah, okay, so, you know, sometimes, yeah, they give you these, like, little pictures, but again, it's very, text-based, storytelling as opposed to, you know, sort of like showing these moments, either with sprites or, admittedly, you know, Super NES just kind of has like these stable pictures, but I don't know, I kind of miss that here. This game also, this version anyway, takes, I feel, a lot more liberties with the story and the levels that it creates. You know, I guess that first level, you know, yeah, the whole Agrabah market thing, I mean, the levels are completely different, but, you know, Super NES version had that too. But this just kind of all new kind of like desert scene, not really reflective of any one particular scene in, from the film. Again, not that I'm judging, oh, by the way, there you go, you can put Mickey's ears on there, you get a little bonus life. Oh gosh, I was right in the middle of saying something. Oh, so, yeah, so more sort of liberties with the story. This is not really reflective of any scene in the movie. Not that I'm judging this, nor did I want to do this with the Super NES version. Oh, the game is not like the movie, that makes it bad. I'm just merely pointing out that I feel like there's more artistic sort of creative liberty taken with level design and how the story is told. Again, not that is necessarily a good or a bad thing. Oh yeah. But it does lead to little moments like this, like that stop sign being there, the Mickey Mouse ears that I was just at. It feels... How do I put this? And again, I don't want this to come across as a bad thing. It's very unique. And it feels more like... It feels less like an adaptation and more like, again, this sort of general sense of story, but it feels more like a Virgin Interactive game, which of course it is. It's very, I think, indicative of, you know, the people who made it. Oh, you got a little bonus secret area down here, some apples and stuff. Yeah, it's very reflective. You can totally tell if you're familiar with it that this, this is a game designed by part of the same team who made like Earthworm Jim. It's got this very self-referential sort of humor, and on one hand, it's kind of lighthearted, like it doesn't take itself too seriously, but it's also somewhat cerebral. I know that might sound kind of funny to say about, a Disney movie video game adaptation kind of thing. But again, I don't mean that pejoratively, or to say like, well, the Super NES version is clearly better because it follows the story of the movie more. Oh, come on. Am I hitting? I don't think I'm hitting him. I think I'm hitting the stone. We're gonna be here all night, buddy. Ah, well, had to go for the sword there. But yeah, like this. Like, there's no scene in the movie where Aladdin has to go get the piece of the scarab. That kind of thing. But, and so this aesthetic here in the desert is completely different. And, the palace guards, like, yeah, they're, by the way, here's the secret beggar here. Not the beggar, the peddler. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna buy a wish. Because I have the gems, why not? And see, like, there's another, there's Goofy on there. All this, like, sort of self-referential Disney iconography. We'll see lots of that throughout the game. They're just having more fun with it, I think. And yeah, the game, without a doubt, looks great. It looks so much better than the Super NES version. Oh yeah, like these enemies, like these snakes with fezzes. What's up with that? A bathroom, I guess, for the genie. Just kind of silly, goofy stuff in the background that, is kind of fun to notice. But doesn't really impact the story. Again, to me, that's part of like what makes the Earthworm Jim aesthetic. Oh man, seriously? Sort of a trademark of that series in its heyday. Lots of fun little stuff to look in the background. Or stuff to look for in the background. Yeah, so this is weird. Now we're going back to Agrabah to do something else. So again, it's I don't know. A little weird. But again, more than just saying, oh, that makes it bad because that's not how the movie goes. It also has, for me, a greater impact on the pacing of things, which is something that I also mentioned about the Super NES version, the pacing and that sort of thing. But I think overall, this version of the game suffers even more so from pacing and reoccurring sort of level design and themes and that sort of thing. But I'll keep playing on, and it'll make more sense, I think, once the whole scope of the game is covered, by the end. One thing I definitely love about this version of the game is the music, which is something that I really gave the Super NES version a critical eye to. Like, I think when we were just in the desert level, that was just kind of incidental music that was written for the game. But most of the soundtrack here in this game is adapted from the film, which for me is a big plus. Again, not a matter of that immediately makes it better because it reminds me of the movie. I mean, I guess there's that sort of nostalgia to it. But also just the quality of the music is just so much better. It just sounds fuller. I had to be quiet there for at least a second just to kind of take in the music for myself, but also give you a sort of a full chance to hear it. That's also nice. All these little checkpoints, the little genie vases or vases, depending on how I like to say it. Because these levels are pretty big. They're usually not... I mean, I guess they're linear because there's an entrance and an exit point for each one. It's definitely not open world, but I think it is a little... It's easier to get lost in this in these the levels of this game than it is in the Super NES version. I hate those knife juggler guys. There's a life down there, and maybe if I fell and went to the right, I could get to it. Or maybe it comes up later. I don't remember. I guess, again, a perfect example of this kind of... It's not open world, but it's not as immediately obvious where you're supposed to go in each level. Seeing it blinking now in the top left corner just made me... something that I noticed early on playing this game that took some getting used to is the way that Aladdin's health is depicted or sort of illustrated in this version. If you've been watching it, you'll notice that, oh, well, here, it'll go up. Yeah. So that sort of black smoke that's coming from the lamp is Aladdin's health. Not the clearest way to show how much health you have left. You know, the hearts in the Super NES version, that's quantifiable. You know, you can really see your health diminishing. It's really easy to kind of lose track of like how much damage you're taking from each different type of enemy, how much health you have left, you know, how many hits you can really take, and again, what that means for each enemy, because different enemies have sort of different... You know, will hit you from more or less. By the way, that was a boss. Sort of a mini boss. Nice. Well, at least here, they're giving us plenty of health. So you can see it growing. But again, it's a weird scale of depicting health. And so here, I think, is our true boss, I guess? Oh, come on. Oh, hence the music change. Now, most of the bosses in this game... oh my god, I'm doing a terrible job. He's doing this Donkey Kong thing. It's driving me nuts. It's usually about finding rhythm. There we go. Wait for the barrel, jump. Throw an apple. Lane. I say so confidently, as I took, like, a ton of hits. Yeah, alright. 9 lives, man. Ah, it's alright. At least I got something out of that. It was a pretty good run. More text, just sort of telling us what happened. Oh, you get these static pictures. So this is what I was talking about, very briefly mentioned at the start. So there's like that screen where it's showing you like, oh, pick this up and you'll get an extra life, and collect genie for the bonus round. There was a picture, a framed picture of Princess Jasmine. It's like, rescue the princess! Rescue Princess Jasmine, or save Princess Jasmine, or something like that. She wasn't in the game. She's not in the game, like, at all. So they're making it seem like, you know, she's going to show up as a character, or at least something like that, but really we just kind of get, that's like the one picture of her that we get sort of in-game, and it's just this, again, it's this static, text-based storytelling kind of stuff that's, I don't know, weird. Skeletons here have Mickey Mouse ears, more of that self-referential, you know, stuff I was talking about. Oh, man. Talk about enemies to hate. I always hate flying enemies in games. I hate Keese or Kesey, whatever. You know, there's a big feud about how you pronounce that in, you know, Legend of Zelda games. I feel like I've fought flying enemies in other games for Let's Plays, and I can't remember, but I hate flying enemies. One thing I don't hate is how great those ball and chain things look. Man, that's really nice. That pseudo 3D effect man, it just really does speak to the quality of... speaking to the quality of just the level of detail in this game for its time. There are these enemies which are just kind of appearing off... What got me? That was weird. They're just sort of appearing off screen. These like exploding kamikaze skeleton sort of things that blow up when you're near them. The nice thing is that they blow themselves up, and there he is. So you don't have to really fight them. But when they do, they send their bones flying, and you don't want to get hit by the bones. I don't know if it'll come through the wall here. Yep, it did. So it's actually best, I think, in most cases. They're really only in this level. I don't think they're anywhere else. Pretty sure they're only in this level. To just stand back, let them blow themselves up, and then just deflect the couple of bones that comes at you by swiping with your sword. Again, another great adaptation of music from the film, done really well. Nice balance of bass sounds, treble sounds, mid. It's all very balanced, unlike certainly the Super NES version of this game, but kind of one of the worst things about the Super NES as a system. Oh, yep, see, we'll just deflect the bones here. One of the worst things about the Super NES as a system is just everything just sounded sort of mid fidelity kind of sound. Not a lot of bass in Super NES games. Or if there was, it was just all bass. Very hard to balance sound in the Super NES for some reason. I'm sure it has something to do with hardware that I just don't know all the details about. But certainly something I notice. And lots of other people have noticed too. I think one of my favorite references is coming up here. Another Disney reference. I hope I didn't pass it. May have passed it. Here's the peddler, not hidden very much. We have 10, so go ahead and take another wish. Again, continues are good because I think they start you off with 3 lives for each continue, so it's kind of like, every wish is worth 3 lives, whereas an extra life is just worth 1. But of course... But there are, of course, disadvantages to starting over with a continue because, they don't start you back at, like, the original or the last checkpoint that you were at. You kind of lose your progress. You gotta do, kind of backtracks a little bit in that way. Man, I am not doing so good on health. But I think there's, like, a ton of health coming up, but there's these stupid bats. Definitely the type of enemies where if you can see them coming from a ways away, just kind of like clinging to the ceiling or whatever, just take them out then, while they're stationary. Okay, well there's a checkpoint, so at least if I die, I'll be okay. There's health, there we go. Oh, and I pretty much just blew it. I think I passed up my favorite Disney reference. Somewhere there's Sebastian from The Little Mermaid, sort of shackled to the wall. He looks very sad, and it's very sad to see, but it's an interesting little addition. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I passed it. Oh well. That's it's kind of going a little off topic here. I mean, man, do I love The Little Mermaid. That has got to be. It's definitely my favorite Disney film. I call it my favorite film, one of my favorite films ever. God, the music is so good. The music in Aladdin is also really great. And of course, it's by no surprise, it's no small coincidence that the same composer was brought on from The Little Mermaid to do music for Aladdin too. Alan Menken, who is just one of the best musical writers. Oh, man, come on. Well, that's what it looks like when you die. And one really noticeable crappy thing, I mean, I didn't backtrack that much, but I had like almost 100 apples before. Once you die, and I'm not even talking like continues, just dying, you lose all your apples and you start back over at 10, which is the default, initial start. You can take out those. That's what I really should have done there. You can attack those skeletons with your sword or with apples. I really should have done that last time. I probably wouldn't have died if I would have just quickly thrown 2 apples, but c'est la vie. Yeah, man, this level is long. But again, thank God for those checkpoints. Is there anything over here? A little bit of health. I already have pretty full health, but don't look a gift horse in the face, right? Or in the mouth. Yeah. Or camel. Don't look a gift camel in the mouth face. In the mouth face. Pretty simple timing here with these. It's not really too bad. The good thing is that, and this certainly won't last, but, I guess it is kind of... It is something that... Well, no, that's not exactly true. I was going to say, one of the things I think that makes the Super NES version maybe a little bit more difficult at times than this version is kind of the overabundance of instant death by, like, falling in the Super NES version. There's so many places where you can just, you miss a platform, you're dead. And that definitely worked against me in the Super NES version when I was like doing the sort of inside the lamp levels. God, that took forever. Thankfully, that is not the case here, as I am having a hard time scaling this wall. Usually what I do is, I try to like anticipate the second that the bricks are going to come out, but I don't know why I do that, because they actually stay out for a pretty long time. There's really no need to like hop on and hop off like super fast, but I just always do it. In this game, yeah, but in other games too. It's usually my own downfall. That was stupid. I don't think I can make that jump over to the next platform. I should just do it like that. Lots of gems. Sweet. Yeah, just like apples, gems dime a dozen early on, so take advantage of it. And, the peddler is not usually that hard to find, so just keep an eye out for him. You're going to need lives later. And finally, that is a level complete. And while we're not quite halfway through the game... God, you asshole. While we're not quite halfway through the game, I think, in terms of levels, I guess, I'm probably gonna take a break here. I think they animate a little bit here. Oh yeah, there's the agua coming out of the beard. I guess switching it up a little bit. Still, I know they're not all cutscenes, but I like the cutscenes and the intertitles or whatever in Super NES version a little bit more than I do here in the Genesis version. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take a break here. And we'll hear from these hit statues next time. So, as always, thanks for watching. Please like, please comment, please subscribe. I do always appreciate it. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time as we finish up the Sega Genesis version of Aladdin.